is my vintage looking patchwork mug rug using, this is my vintage looking patchwork mug rug using postage stamp squares, which are squares, they're quilt blocks that are finished size of 1 inch. So you have to cut 1.5 inch squares to make a postage stamp quilted item. Okay, and I think it's 12 across and 9 down. I meant to make it 10, but by the time I was putting it together and got too far, I was like, man, I meant to do 12 across and 10 down versus 12 across and 9 down. But yeah, this is my vintage looking patchwork mug rug. My vintage looking mug rug using the cross hatch quilting lines, as you can see, which I use painter's tape to make them. I just love doing that. Like, I fell in love with the cross hatch quilting. It took me a minute, but once I got into doing it, I really came to like it. But yeah, this is my vintage looking patchwork mug rug. Vintage looking, using postage stamp quilt block. So this is a postage stamp quilted item, a mug rug quilted item, a crosshatch quilted item, a vintage looking quilted item. Lots of words can be used to describe this mug rug. See, that's my mitered corner. As I stated in my last video, sometimes they look, corners look at that one. It came out pretty good. So that's why you have to make sure you cut your strip big enough so the mitered corner does what it's supposed to do with no problems. But like I said, if you run into a problem, just make it a little bit bigger until you get to the point where you know, okay, for this quilted item, I need to cut my binding strip this size. And for this quilted item, I need to cut. So the main thing you want to do is have enough of that binding strip to do, so that that corner, you have enough fabric to make that corner do what it's supposed to do. And you know, you start your binding strip on the front and finish it on the back. So yeah, this is my vintage looking mug rug, patchwork mug rug. I really love it. I absolutely love it. So now I made this video, I can actually start to use it. Because I don't really use my items until I make the video, you know. So everything looks nice and crispy clean. And it's nice and crispy looking. It looks really crispy. It looks really clean. So yeah, this is my vintage looking patchwork mug rug, vintage looking mug rug. And when I make my mug rugs, I like to make a little coaster to go with the mug rug. So I have something to lay my cup on as I eat my little meal. But yeah, so let me show you all my coaster. This is the coaster. I've already done a video on the coaster. So yeah, this is my little coaster. I love to make coasters. I like to make them 4x4. A 4-inch finished size coaster. That's my favorite size to do. Yeah, or 4.5 inch. 4 inch, 4.5 inch. That's the size I make my coasters. Or those are the sizes. Either it's going to be a 4-inch coaster or a 4.5 inch coaster. One of those. No bigger, no smaller. And then this how this looks on the back. And there's the front again. And then this is the back of my mug rug. So when I go get ready to eat my meal, I have my plate on my mug rug and then my cup on my little coaster. So it's like a little duo.